Not today, pal. Not today.
I'm an actor.
I know, but you're also a podcaster. And guys, let's hear it for Jamie. Jamie's got a new pod.
Oh,
Jamie's got a new pod called Messy. It's incredible. It's great. It's really, really good.
thanks, Rob.
Yeah, it's really good.
Thank you. It's myself and Christina Applegate, who also lives with MS, like me, but it's not just about MS, but that's sort of where our friendship and these conversations between us came from. Yeah, and we just put it out in the world.
Yeah, it's really good. The Edie Falco episode is great.
Did you like it?
Yeah.
She's so great, isn't she?
She's
She was
so
just
good.
so honest. I really appreciated her coming to that, like, recording with us, just being really open about it all.
Yeah, and it was interesting because you guys talked about like how you looked. By the way, if anybody doesn't know, Edie Falco played our mother on Sopranos, Carmela, but I'm sure everyone knows.
Yeah, you know.
And you guys talked about like how you looked at each other on set.
Wasn't that crazy?
It was fucking, yeah, it was wild because she said she was like intimidated by you, where you were like, and she's
All I
like,
wanted her to do was like love me.
yeah, and you
Yeah.
were like, and she's like, you had everything like together, and you were like, I was such a mess, and it's just so weird. It's like, but how she said she saw you is how I always saw you too, which is
Yeah.
like very competent, like can like get shit done. Like Jamie's a fucking tough cookie. She can get now like. You know, I know you on a deeper level where like you're willing to tell me when, and it's just who you've become, where you're okay with saying like,
I'm not okay.
yeah, I'm not
Yeah.
okay, and just, and also like that's, you know,
Or I need help.
yeah, or you need help or whatever. But I think I hope on this podcast you also never feel like you have to pretend like you're.
Never. Rob, I told you when we started recording podcasts in our old one with Pajama Pants, it was very much another sort of like puzzle piece to me, really starting to get comfortable with just being me and not feeling like there was this like version of me I had to play for the world so that I would be accepted. Like this whole, it's all been adding up to me. And Not Today, Pal is definitely where you get the most me
Yeah.
of it all.
I just want to make sure you never feel like if you're having a shitty day, you can't come in here and be like, I'm having a fucking shitty day. Like, I
Never,
don't
but
want
to
you
be honest, when I come through these doors and sit down at this table, my day's not shitty. So
yeah, it's true.
turns it around.
We usually have a good time. So I'm gonna
Even when you make me massively uncomfortable with people that call in.
or just things I say. It's,
Yeah.
you know, which by the way, guys, if you want to send voicemails or emails, our phone number 512-387-1880. I'm gonna try and get better at giving these out. And then our email is nottodaypalpodcast@gmail.com. Go check out Jamie's new pod, Messy. It's very, very good. So I'm gonna show you. There's a picture of a couple of ladies I want to show you here, and I want you to tell me if you could figure out what all these women
These
have
are
in
AIs.
common. Wow, damn, James. That
I
was
know it.
quick.
Because
How'd you do it?
Well, that's like a painting.
I mean, she's fucking.
That's the most beautiful. Yeah, but they're stunned because their faces are perfection.
But I've seen models who look like this.
But there's just like a glossiness. Like that skin looks like glass. Like that's not real skin.
Yeah. No, you're right. That one you might have fallen for a little.
I would
right?
love to have that face. That face is a nice face.
I think we'd all love to have that. Face,
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
That's a good face.
Yeah.
That's a good mouth, nose, eyes, all of it.
Yeah.
Am I a lesbian?
Maybe. So I mean, before the episode, you were showing any pictures of your tits, which is crazy.
Poor Annie. I asked him to help me with something on my.
What the fuck? Ain't no poor or nothing. What you mean?
I gave Annie my laptop to help me with something, and I literally the first thing out of my mouth was like, "Don't worry, there's no photos, there's no porn." He's like, "Well, I just saw naked tits."
Yeah, and Chad was upset. Chad is beside himself.
Should have been me, man. Should have been me.
If only
You should have followed me when I walked in, Chad.
I
You
did. You
stayed
didn't
in the
notice.
lobby a little longer.
10 years ago, you should have decided to go into learning how to fix technical shit, and that could have been you, bro. You just got to change your whole life path. But
Hindsight.
yeah, so when I'm showing you those women, what I wanted to talk about with those women are.
Do I hate myself?
Do you hate yourself?
No,
Oh,
I'm
for sure.
kidding.
No. So there's a huge thing going around now where AI is the new like catfish. So instead of people taking just like random pictures of hot chicks and being like, hey, this is me, and talking to a guy on a dating app or from another country or this, the new thing is it's completely fake women. And it used to be hard because like you would have a picture of a woman from, doing whatever. And if somebody said, hey, send me a picture of a girl holding a piece of paper that says this is really me, you have to figure out how to get there. Now with AI, it's like you can just fucking you plug in that girl and you could have her pictures of her doing anything. So what I really want to talk about is, what do you think would be more like embarrassing or like devastating to a person if you get catfish for, let's say, a year or 6 months? Usually these guys end up like sending money, like the whole thing. They think they're getting married. It's like this whole thing. And then you find out like what's the worst case scenario? Like this girl never existed. She was like an algorithm, or yeah, this girl exists. She just doesn't even know you exist. Or
there's
like,
somebody else.
This girl was fleecing you, but it's actually her.
I would rather, the best case scenario is that there's a real person behind it with fake photos, because at
There's
a
someone to
certain
hate.
point, there's somebody to hate, but at a certain point, you want to know if you're having an emotional relationship with this person and you're talking a lot with them. You want to know that it was another human being that was actually genuinely having a conversation. Whether you thought they looked a certain way or not is a whole other thing. But I think I would be devastated if I knew I was talking to a computer for a year and thought I was talking to another human being sharing myself.
Well, you're not talking to the computer. I mean, you probably will be soon, but you're talking to a real person who's just using the computer's pictures.
Right.
Who's using AI
That's
photos.
catfishing.
Yeah. But I'm saying you're not texting back and forth with the AI. You know what I
Right.
mean? You're texting. Boys, what do you feel would be more embarrassing? Let's say you were talking to a girl for 6 months and now you find out you were getting catfished the whole time. What's worse, finding out it was an AI that is not a real woman? So because here's
AI as in the pictures were just AI generated. It's
Right.
not AI like chatting.
No,
Right,
the
that's what I was
the chat
wondering.
is just like a catfishing farm who they're just sending out hundreds and hundreds, which they have. They have those where it's like they
A
just send
catfish
out
farm?
a cat. So they have catfish.
It's a catfish
a
aquarium.
catfish farm, yeah. So that what they do is they have. I watched a thing on this. They have the list of people who are being catfished, and when you click on them, it says like how far along they are in the relationship. So like, there are different colors, which is like blue is like this guy's all in, or like red is like, oh, it's new.
Yeah.
And then they have like, yes, he has sent money to me. I've never asked him for money. They have all these different prompts that are like, this is where this person is at in the scam. So they see, okay, we got a text from somebody. They click on it. They're like, okay, this is Jerry. Click on Jerry. And they're like, okay, Jerry has already sent us money. We've been talking to Jerry for 6 months. Yeah, it's fucking wild. So what do you guys think is worse? Is the worst case scenario to find out?
I don't know, man, but I think you be running scams. You know a little bit too much about this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Well, this at Vice. I think I watched something on Vice, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. Because I'm really trying, because here's my thought, right? If somebody was catfishing me, which for me it would never happen because I just don't, I don't make connections with real people. So how am I going to make a connection with a catfish? But like, if I was connected with somebody for 6 months and then it turned out they didn't exist, you kind of like, you got nobody to be mad at. Like, really,
Just yourself?
yeah, it's kind of just like, all right, I got to fix this with me. Where like, I think especially if you have not had experiences in relationships, because I watch these 90 Day Fiance shit, and when people get catfished, what happens is, even when the person comes forward is like, hey, I was just catfishing you, I was this. When they go home, they're like, no, but I think she really loved me. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I don't know if it would be worse to be sitting with that question all the time of like, but when we had this deep connection I never had with anyone else, she had to feel it. Like she had, where if you just go, oh, it wasn't even a real person, you go, all right, I guess that's over now.
Right.
Right? Like, what do you boys think is worse?
I mean, I'd have to put myself back in a place where I could fall for that. Like, because, I mean, there's just
You
so
have
many.
to be in a real lonely, like
Yeah.
vulnerable place, right?
Yes.
To fall for something like
There's
that.
a lot of those out there.
That-
That's,
yeah.
that's fair. That's fair. But yeah, so I'd have to put myself there. I don't know. I imagine it would be worse if she wasn't the pictures that she was putting out, if it was AI or whatever, because then to me, it's like now people know things about me that I don't want everybody knowing. And it's like,
Right.
especially if it's like a group, like you're saying, it's like, oh, cool. So fucking 80 niggas just know all my like sexual preferences and fucking
Yeah.
like all the things
That's
that
a
I
great
like. You know what I'm
point.
saying? Like that's too much.
Too
It's
much.
too much.
That's
Oh,
because you're like
that's just
I be
because you're
going in
like
circles about it.
because you're like, okay, now this woman knows all my stuff, but you're just sitting at home going, God, who knows all that stuff? Like instead of like where it just goes to the farm, you're like, who the fuck? Who could know about? Who has these pictures of me? Man, that's fucked up. By the way, I love the show Catfish on MTV. I'm like the only person I think who I know who still watches it.
It's still
But, like,
on?
It's
Is
still
MTV
on.
still a channel?
I just use the app. I don't
Oh,
know, but
it's
man,
an app?
it is. I find it so. I just find
Going
it
on.
so. I love. There's something about like watching these like delusional people who are like, no, she loves me, like she's it. And like as soon as these guys get there, they're like, dude, this is a totally fake
They're
person.
so lonely.
And it's always the same story. They're always like going to meet them, and the person's like waiting outside, and then they're like, "Sorry, my mom got cancer." You're like, "What? Like, what do you even mean?" Like, or like, my fucking car flipped upside down, and it's always these
But the
horrible
person
things.
that's catfishing is equally as lonely.
Or they're catfishing hundreds of people at once just to make.
Right.
Like, there's literally people who are
Well,
like,
those
"This is how I
people
make
need
a
to
living."
be sent to Epstein's Island. You know what I mean?
Oh.
Like, that's where I feel like everyone should just go for punishments at this point.
Yeah. I think too many people really liked it there to be that much of a punishment. People were having a good time there, Game.
Yeah, but now it's tainted.
You're like, oh, you fucked up? I'm going to send you on a private jet to Epstein's Island. Jamie's punishment. So, and then I'm going to show you pictures of my tits. What about you other
That's
boys
Jamie's
back there?
jail.
Yeah, Jamie's jail. What do you other boys think would be worse? What would upset you more?
So what's the other option? It's an AI person that doesn't exist,
So-
or it's someone that doesn't look like their photo?
It's a person that exists, but if they're using AI generated photos, or if it's really they're giving you their photos, but they're just like
They don't give a
fucking
fuck
around
about
with
you.
Yeah.
Like, they're like,
like-
yeah, I was playing with you the whole time. Like, you mean nothing to me.
It's
whatever.
basically, the question is, would you rather get played or catfished?
I
which
would
is
rather
like-
get catfished.
What do you think would be easier to like? What do you think would take you less time to get over?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
If there's like tons of people, like Annie said, if there's tons and tons of people behind it, like that's like a different level.
There's
than
so
just
much
one
unfinished-
person fucking with you.
Yeah, there's so much unfinished business. You know what I'm saying? Like, how many people do I want to fuck up right now? You know, like, because I'd be looking for revenge somehow. I gotta do something about this.
And
you know?
he's looking for revenge.
I think with the catfish, the like kind of sad aspect is put on them, but with the other one is kind of more put on me.
Right.
So
And you love being sad, so you
yeah,
would
so I'll take the
choose-
second one. Asshole.
You're a big
When
sad.
did
You're a
we
big sad
when did
guy.
we establish that Chad likes being sad?
I don't know.
Just because it rhymes?
Yeah, I get that a lot.
When you met him, right?
Fuck you guys.
Not true.
Well, here's something that would be really tough on a relationship. I sent you a TikTok that I wanted to show Jamie. I feel like this would really, this could possibly really upset her. And I think it would be funny.
Oh God.
So Jamie, describe to people who are just listening what they're seeing. What you're
This
seeing.
guy's just throwing literally like colorful hair ties into the passenger seat like floor, pretty much, of people's trucks.
Right, so it says
So
I got
knowing if they're,
bored,
like-
so I started throwing random hair ties into my coworkers'
Oh,
trucks.
sorry, I didn't read
So
it.
you just like somebody you hate at work, you're like, oh yeah, I know this
So
guy
if
has
I got
married
into the
or
side, into Cutter's passenger side, and there was a hair tie that was not mine,
let's play that out. Talk about Jamie's jail. I don't think you're flying him to Epstein's Island for that one.
I am as chill and
You really
fair and loving. I like to think.
Judge Jamie's
But
fair.
if I found myself in a situation like that, I would be aggressive.
Let's play it out. So now
I don't want to play it out. What do you no?
let's just think. I just want to know the initials. So you're going to a kid's fucking or you're coming here to the pod. You're coming here to the pod.
Okay.
And Cutter's like, hey babe, I'll drive you today, and I'll hang. And then
I know already the sensation I would feel. Like I'd get hot. I'd feel the temperature rising. My head already knows exactly what it is. And I'll just give him maybe one or two chances to say whose this is. And then I'd probably punch him in the face. I would definitely punch him in the face. Not probably. I would.
so what I want to know is what's the worst way for Cutter to handle that? Like, let's say you pick up that hair tie and you look at him and you're like, what the fuck is this? Like, what's the worst thing that he could say? Like, if he just totally dismisses you, like, babe, who knows? It's from the kids. Like, you know.
Yeah. What's the worst way for him to handle it? There's a million bad ways for
But
him
in
to
a
handle
realistic, like a Cutter way, like like the way that you know Cutter, what would be the worst for him to
it.
just?
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, what do you mean? I don't know. Like when he just makes it as if I'm crazy.
So you say you give him 2 chances. What are you looking for him to say?
Whoops.
And then you're like, oh, it's cool.
I'm looking for him to cop to it, tell the truth. I don't know. That's that's devastating. That's
I mean, that's crazy.
that's this person. I would like a follow-up TikTok, please.
Yeah.
What happened?
We got to follow up with that. By the way, I think Casa might have sent that to me. Shout out to Cass. Casa, because I told Casa, I'm like, send us some funny fucking videos.
Yeah,
We got to get him here soon. Something else I wanted to ask you. So I was actually thinking the other day, I'm like, what's something we've never talked about on our hundreds of hours of podcasting? I don't think we ever talked about your college years. Like,
It was a half a semester.
but I mean, still, it's like that like 6 months in college. I don't think we ever talked about like what was that like? Like, what were you?
So we were going into filming the second season of The Sopranos.
Oh, so it was
and-
early.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
And I moved into a dorm. I remember one of the first nights in my dorm, my roommate and I were like going and introducing ourselves to like other people on our floor.
Chicks do that shit in college? I
We,
gotta go, bro.
we wanted to see who was living next to us and across from us and down the hall from us. Like everyone's doors were open. They were mingling. It was like first night in your dorm. You know, it felt like people were like drinking.
You're explaining
I'm
this to
explaining
someone
it.
who's never been in a
Okay,
dorm.
so people were like, drinking in the hallway and socializing. It was like people getting to know each other. And there was a guy that lived on our floor. And Sopranos wasn't that popular. It had just aired only one season. It was like a cult following at the time. It definitely was gaining traction.
It was definitely, and like people our age, like 18-year-olds,
We're
was
not
nothing. Yeah.
Right. And I went into this guy's dorm room a couple of doors down, and he had a Sopranos poster on his wall.
Of you or everyone?
Everyone, like the whole. Remember the one where it was like
so
Tony?
it wasn't
and
like
then,
Chad's poster.
I knew
It
you were
wasn't.
going
It
there. I
wasn't
knew
Chad's
it.
room.
No, it wasn't that. It wasn't that. And
The hell? She called you that.
no, I mean, it wasn't like it wasn't for me.
Yeah,
it was.
like Chad.
It was for the show.
It.
Oh, guys, is this a really make your Jamie uncomfortable pod?
No, we're
What's
not.
going on?
We're just talking about your husband
I
cheating
made
on you.
confession.
and-
You made me
and-
make a
and
confession
the
that I
boys
thought I
look-
had made once before,
the
and now
boys
I
looking
realize
at
I
your
had it.
boobs.
I'm like getting way too intimate here.
Listen, I was getting.
this
This
is
was
not what I thought I was walking into.
This was gonna be a very
I just said I
comfortable-
was happy here. Why
This
are
was
you
gonna
making me
be a
uncomfortable?
very comfortable for Jamie
I'm
pod.
not comfortable.
And then right before we turned the cameras on, what'd you do? You showed Annie your tits.
That is not what happened.
I
I
don't
would
know.
like that. We'll see. Taking out of context that sentence.
Listen,
that is
winners
not
write
what
the
happened.
history.
And the tits he saw were not mine. Mine are on the laptop, but he didn't see those.
This is like the Hunter Biden laptop over now. The Jamie-Lynn Sigler laptop scandal.
I'm not enjoying this.
As soon as I sit down, I just have a great time.
Wow, I really just teed myself up for that one. What the fuck?
So when now
What?
like okay, so the first night what happened? Did you see the
so it
poster?
was, and it was like this weird moment where he's looking at me like, huh? And I'm like, hi. Like it was my first moment of like honestly feeling like I was getting recognized. Like it was very bizarre. But after that, I don't know, my experience was not like great in the sense that, Sopranos wasn't working around my class schedule, and I wasn't in an acting program or like an extended program or like work study program where they would be lenient with things. I was studying psychology, and my professors didn't know what this show that I was on was when I would try to explain why I was missing so many classes. So I would say I started in August. By November, there was 2 professors that were threatening to fail me because I had missed more than 3 classes, even though I was trying to make up my work. And the final straw was we were having a photo shoot at Silver Cup for our second season poster or for something. And I remember there was one professor that was nice that was going to let me come in at like 7 a.m., to take my midterm, and then I was going to take the subway to work because this is also before they used to pick me up for work. I didn't know I could ask for somebody to pick me up to
We
work,
had
so
to
I would
the
take
train. That was the worst part about the only bad part ever about the show.
I would take the shadiest train.
Yeah.
Like the worst subway
the end of
train.
the R, I think. Yeah.
Like really bad. At all hours of the night by myself. Anyway, I wake up to my beeper going off, I think, or did I have a cell phone then?
Yeah, you had a cell phone.
To Kristen, our first AD, being like, "Hey girl, where are you? Like, you're supposed to be here at like 9:30 or whatever." And it was like 10 something. I had missed my midterm and was late to the set. I just remember grabbing my stuff in my pajamas, like bolted out the door, got to the set. They were rushing doing my hair and makeup. I was trying to get in touch with my professor. And as soon as I got to the set, I'll never forget, Tony Sirico looked at me and goes, "How you doing?" And I was like, "Not good." And I just started hysterical crying. And I remember Jim was like, "Stop. Like, what's going on? What's going on?" And it was just like, I exploded. I was trying so hard to like make it all work. And I just realized I'm not going to be able to do this. So I think 2 days later, I deferred and went to my dorm room and with my mom and threw everything in trash bags, big trash bags, and left.
Wow,
and then
you
I
were
got
like Snooki.
I was like,
You had all
I
your-
remember we were, what was wrong with us? We did in black big trash bags. And then I moved into my own apartment a couple of months later.
Yeah, every time I moved, it was in garbage bags. I'm
Yeah.
big garbage bag guy. What did you find that going to college was like affecting your acting, or was the acting
No.
affecting the schoolwork?
No, I just couldn't do both.
Yeah,
I couldn't.
But like if
commit.
if in your brain, if you were like one of these has to suffer, obviously you're letting the schoolwork suffer,
Of
right?
course, yeah. And I
school wasn't
did. I
paying
was
you the big
working.
bucks, you know what I'm saying?
I was keeping up with my work. It's just I wasn't going to my classes. But I remember being sad because I really did want to have like a college experience, and I really wanted, because my whole life up until then, like I had a career on the side, but I did everything with my friends. You know, I had all the same experiences as them. I was in public school. There was nothing like special about my life other than like where I would go off to every once in a while when I had a job. So I was kind of bummed to feel like I wasn't on the same trajectory as all of my friends. But then when I moved to the city, I kind of started making, you know, new friends and older friends, and, you know, just started the next phase of my life.
Chad, what do you think it would have been like for you if you're like sitting in your dorm room in college and like all of a sudden Jamie walks in and is like, "Hey, I'm just here to introduce myself. I'm Jamie."
Oh.
Yeah, that's it right there, huh? That was-
I was like,
"Hey, I'm Jamie."
hey, see you.
Yeah, you just turn around and face the
That's
wall.
kind of how it went.
Yeah, you face the poster.
No, I was cool in college. I played guitar and had friends. You know?
Whoa, Jamie's got something to show you later on her laptop.
Chad. Shut up.
All right.
When you think so, if you
You know, this is really mean of you too, Rob, because you know that I gave up sugar 5 days ago. So you know I'm in a very vulnerable state.
I'm sorry, I forgot about the whole sugar thing.
The fact that you're doing this to me on this first week of no sugar is fucking rude.
I told you this was I was going to celebrate your podcast, all this stuff, and you came in with the tits, and it changed the whole vibe in here. I'm just saying, your tits or not, it changed the vibe, right? We were all calm and chilling and cool, and then you're showing 4 dudes tits.
Not how.
You're changing, you're changing. We all of a sudden hear tits are in the
Just
room.
needed
we
help with
get
my
crazy.
Zoom.
We get a little riled up.
Yeah,
I've
I'm sorry.
noticed. Just a pair of boobs.
So how's life with no sugar? Talk to us.
You know, it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be.
You don't use that against me. I called you a few days ago to check in on you, and you were like, "Yeah, I'm not struggling with the sugar." I was like, "All right." So now you can't use that as a how
What do you
dare
mean?
you? When you're like, "How dare
Well,
you? I quit sugar."
well,
You said you said it was easy.
It is, but it still feels like rude.
Yeah, it feels like you're.
It still feels like an attack. I'm doing okay. I get like little gummies that are just made of fruit to like, give me my, kick when I need it. But other than that, I'm okay. I'm not giving up anything else at the same time. So I think that makes it easier.
Right.
I just miss this maple syrup in my coffee in the morning.
And how are you feeling from it?
The same right now. I don't feel any different right now. I mean, it's 5 days, 6 days.
But you don't have that like after a meal and dessert kind of drag after, Like, because when I notice when I go to dinner with people and I'm the only one not eating sugar, like right after dinner, everyone's like, wow, that was great. I feel like, we have sushi or something. It's like, I feel great. And you're there a lot of the times where it's like, everyone's like, I feel great. And that was fantastic. And I don't feel too full. And then they order dessert.
And then
we're
they feel
walking out of the
gross.
restaurant. Everyone's like, oh, I just want
know.
to go home and go to bed now. And
So
I'm
I
like,
haven't been out to eat yet since, which I think will be a game changer. But you know what's gotten me through? You be proud. After dinner, when I normally have my dessert, I wash up and I get in bed. And you know what I've been watching? Fargo season 5.
how good.
It's so good.
Jam.
Wow. It's so good.
You're so
Not
late to the party,
necessarily the
but
best
wow.
thing to watch before bed, but it's great.
Yeah.
Great acting, storytelling. Have you guys seen it?
I've seen it.
You have?
Yeah.
The season 5?
Mm-hmm.
Did you like it?
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as like season 1 and 2, but I thought it
Okay.
was a step up from the last couple.
Yeah. Season 2 was so
I just
fucking-
love
Season 1
Juno
is
Temple.
amazing,
I
too.
just think she's such a cool
She's so good.
actress, such an individual, very unique, and she's just fun to watch.
You know she was in Batman?
I didn't know
She
that.
played like who's the girl who you love? Kalma. Who's that?
Kalma?
Kalma.
Oh, Anne Hathaway?
And she plays Anne Hathaway's friend in Batman.
Oh, cool. Was
Yeah.
Anne Hathaway Catwoman?
I think so, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
She was
Good for
Catwoman.
her.
There's like a meme that Jamie's obsessed with like
Oh.
Anne Hathaway saying Kalma.
Have
I
you
don't
guys
know about
seen
that.
the footage of Anne Hathaway leaving like some hotel or somewhere in Italy and there's all these fans and you just pull it up. Just say Calma. Calma.
Calma.
There it is. But there's well that's a
That's people.
fake one. There it is. So basically she's telling the fans, but she's speaking to them in a way where they like as if they're almost kindergartners because they're speaking another language. So sometimes there it is. Hold on.
I cannot take photos with everyone, but I will stand here and wave if you'd like to take a photo. I cannot sign too many of you. It's Piace, but I want you to have something. So if you'd like, I'll just wave a little bit. And thank you for understanding. Thank you.
So generous.
What a
I
G.
cannot with you because then I have to with everyone. There's too many.
So now, whenever I need to feel in my power, look at the girl waiting for her. No comma. Oh,
All right.
wow. Calma is my alter ego.
Right.
When I need to just channel something. Calma.
You tell your kids that a
Calma.
lot?
Yes.
Yeah. Kalma.
I can't take photos with all of you,
Yeah, right.
children.
I can't show everyone my tits. Comma, comma. I was actually thinking the other day about, because we're talking about the sugar thing, and you had asked me, a lot of times you're like, you can't just have what, like, you're like, I want you to enjoy yourself, like sometimes you're like, I want you to have a like nice, and I think like the root of that, I think it's like, I hated myself for so long for what I was doing to myself with like drugs and alcohol and feeling like shit and making myself feel like shit every day. And it was like, the more I tried to make myself feel good with pills and alcohol, it was the worse I actually felt when I got sober. So it was like just this constant fucking thing. And like now, I think, I've been sober over 10 years, over 11 years now. And it's like, I think when like, the meditation, the working out, the eating good, the cook, like the read, like doing all this stuff makes me feel good. And then because I'm doing it for myself, it like makes me love myself for the first time. So like, I think when I do have one of those cheat meals where some people are like, oh, I feel like shit for a few hours, like I get not only physically, but I get brought back to that place where like I hate myself.
You're getting hard on yourself.
Yeah, where it's
Wow.
like I feel that, ugh, like I why did you do this to me? I hate you, and it just brings me right back to like being alone in Vegas, like having withdrawals from fucking drugs and everything. So like I think now I'm so anti even like a bite of something when you're like, I wish you weren't so strict, like, and gave yourself some grace and
Yeah.
this. It's like when I do that, it really like, it affects me for days sometimes,
Yeah.
of just like even eating.
So it's not even necessarily what chemically is done to your body when you're putting that stuff in it. It's more to mentally the place that it takes you to, where you feel like you're sabotaging your health and not taking care of yourself the best you can.
Yeah, and it's just, again, like I think I never did any sort of thing that would show like self-love up until I was like 28 years old, maybe 30. But then like through yoga and all this stuff, I was like, oh, when you're doing things nice for you and then you look in the mirror, you don't hate the person. You're not scared of that person in the mirror because you're not like, oh, what are you going to do to me today? Like, what's the fucking, how are you going to torture us? Instead, you're like, oh, this is the guy who helps us out and makes us feel good. And that's such a like, even though it's been 10 years, that's still new to me. Like where I'm still like, wow, I'm not scared of what I'm going to do to myself today. Instead, I'm like, wow, how am I going to make myself feel?
Well, all your actions, all your versions of self-love are actions, like how you take care of yourself, what you put in your body, what you do, each day, which are all like, I agree, and they're versions of that for me. But like to me, more, I think you were giving yourself love, even though you were in an addictive and abusive state to your physical body for a long time. You also were very like confident in who you were, and you never believed what anybody else had to say about you. And so to me, that's more self-love than anything else. And that's what I lack. And that's where I start to feel it, when I'm like in my head too much, or worrying about what other people think about me too much, or I'm like a people pleaser, where like, we think everybody's mad at us. We worry what we say all the time. I mean, that used to eat me alive. I'm much better at it. But that, to me, I felt like you had the most self-love because you were not that at all.
Yeah, because I think for me, when I feel like something like, like you even said on the Edie episode, like Robert doesn't give a fuck what people think about him, or like
I did talk about you. That's
where
right.
like I just, again, I don't know. I almost think of that as like growing up in New York City. There's so many fucking people you're interacting with every day that like the thought of somebody not liking me, if that bothered me, I don't know how you function. Like I think people.
Welcome to my life,
right?
Or
but
my old life more. I mean, but I still suffer from it a little bit. But it used to be the worst. It takes all your energy. It's the worst.
Yeah, you were just because I don't know if we've talked about this in the podcast, but one of the things you've said in the past that like opened, like that made me see like how you live life was when we were talking about our friend Cassim, and I was like, I remember when I met Cassim, and I was like, I don't know if I like this guy, and you were like, like you like gasped, and you were like, God, you were like, when I meet somebody, I'm just hoping they like me.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, what? Like, I didn't even know that.
I've never even considered if I like them or not. Like, that's never even been the thought that comes into my mind.
That's so crazy. All I'm doing when I meet somebody is clocking them. I'm just waiting for them to fuck up, Like, I'm just like, come on, let me not like you. Like, like, and then like, if somebody's too perfect, I'm like, I don't like them. They're too fucking,
yeah.
But I also think like, again, sometimes I talk about negative things that came from growing up around my family or the way they did things or whatever. Like, a huge positive is that, is like, fuck those. Like, I remember auditioning from, 6 years old, 7 years old, 8 years old, and you're going into nonstop auditions, and they would be like, did they like you? And like, it was like, no, they said it wasn't good. And they'd be like, fuck those fucking idiots. Like, let's go. And I was like, yeah, fuck those people. And that's how I felt forever. Like, I remember we were doing pajama pants for a while, and like nothing anybody ever said like bothered me. And I'm like, yeah, I've been in, this business or whatever for 33 years now. It's like, I've sucked from such like people that matter, like hearing I suck from somebody who, it's like, who cares? But I remember hearing or seeing something, and it actually bothered me, and I was like, what's wrong with me? Because it wasn't even like anything, and I was like, what is it? And I was like, oh, I haven't been to the gym in 6 days. It was when my dad was visiting, and I was like, that's it. Like, and then I went to the gym, and I was like, who fucking cares?
Wow.
Like, it's like, as long as,
again, you're my hero.
if I ever see like, oh, something is bothering me or something's affecting me, I'm like, what's going on with me? Instead of being like, I
making
never,
it about the other person. Yeah, you live the 4 agreements.
And also, here's the deal. Like, I know I'm a loser. You know what I mean? Like, and again, I'm a loser who's been
according to what and who?
I'm just saying I've been very lucky in life and caught really great breaks. But like, I'm just a loser with my mindset, my mentality, who I really want to be, like who I am is just like, I fucking don't want to work. I don't find any self-worth through work and like doing stuff like that. I don't like. We talked about. You know, I think I did one good scene ever in Sopranos. But let me just say, I think I did one good scene ever in Sopranos, and if we put that on right now, I couldn't even watch it. You know what I mean? So it's like, even if I think I do a good job, it doesn't make me feel good. It just happened to be that I think I'm a loser in the fact that
it doesn't add any value to you.
Yeah, like if you talk to like these, you know, Tony Robbins, like motivational guys, and it's like I'm a loser because I don't find any self-worth from any of that stuff. I've just been very fortunate and lucky in life. And sometimes I even think like, when I think about having children, I'm like, I don't even know if I want to have kids, because like, what if I pass on being a loser to my kid, but they don't get the good breaks that I get, like the lucky things, and they're just a loser who you know, I have friends who, you know, who I grew up with who are losers like me, and they didn't get good breaks, and
what do you
it's not
think
pretty.
makes you a loser?
I think
what makes you a loser?
I think not finding any self-worth in like work or doing a good job.
How does that make you a loser? That's great. That's what people try to do.
But I don't think it's great in life if you want to be a successful person. And I think I'm like maybe considered successful.
You have figured out how to be successful in your own way. That you cannot compare. Success also is so relative, because to me, success is have family, roof over my head, all my needs are met, and I have community, meaning like a group of friends that I care about and can lean on. That to me is success. Everything else is extra. Success can mean something to everybody else. To me, you live a very successful life because you are very self-aware of what your needs are, what makes you feel good physically, mentally, spiritually, and you do that. So what would be a loser?
Because I think
because you're not married with kids and
no,
like
not
grinding
at
at a job?
No, I don't think about the family thing. I think the thing that makes me not a loser in your eyes, I'm only able to do because I was very lucky early in life to make a certain amount of money and do smart things with it where I can just chill.
That's success.
But again, I think if somebody has my mindset, which is what I was saying, is if somebody thinks like me but doesn't catch the lucky breaks, I think it could be a very ugly and
yes,
sad.
but if you didn't catch lucky breaks, you would have figured out how to.
But I don't know.
Do
like I could have, because again,
you don't have to, because you've made the right choices at the right times. You just did. You got to accept it. Stop calling yourself a loser.
But here's the thing. I think, you know, I think we've talked about this before, and like, you know, in just out of the friends I brought to the last premiere of Sopranos, 4 of them are dead. So to say like, oh, you know, and one of them is in, we thought was dead, and then somehow, I mean, the craziest story of all time, but you know, it was almost 5 of the people who I brought to the last Sopranos premiere are fucking dead. So it's like to say like, oh, well, if you didn't have this, you'd figure out a way. I don't think so. I think when I got sober at 28, it was very much like, I'm watching my friends who can't get sober and people around me who can't get sober. And if they do get sober and get through this, what they have to look forward to on the other side is very dark. What I have to look forward to on the other side is very fucking light and nice and a pretty fucking cush life. And I think that helped me get sober compared to if I didn't have that, I don't think I would have ever fucking stood a chance.
What do you mean dark? What do you mean that they don't have
they have what I see as my mentality without catching those lucky breaks at a young age. They didn't catch those. They didn't, you know.
You mean money?
Money, success, or whatever. Because, you know, even if I ran out of money tomorrow, luckily I have a way I could go make more. I can go, you know, and again, you know, luckily I've been offered a ton of acting jobs, and not, you know, Scorsese shit, but it's like if I needed to make money, I could go tomorrow and be a fucking actor. Like it's not, you know, and I'm very grateful for that and whatever, but I have a lot of friends who struggle to even get a, you know, minimum wage job, and they were addicted to drugs, went through the whole, and to fight to get, it's like you going to fucking college while you're doing the acting. It's like these people are fighting their asses off to get sober, to then go like, oh, now I got to go to this fucking job I hate for no money. And I think it's very dark. And I know from and again, like those 4 kids who are not with us anymore, it's, you know, it was very dark, like very dark.
Yeah. Look, I mean, I think that you can recognize that, but you also can't judge yourself and your life and your circumstances because of other people's, like I also have struggled with that and guilt and feeling bad of what I have versus others. And it goes nowhere. It's a road to nowhere with that level of thinking. And I think that yes, you can honor the fact that you have been lucky. We all can, but you have to also recognize that you've made series of choices on your own for yourself that no one made you do that have led you to where you are and being able to live the life that you're living. So, fuck anyone else that's calling you a loser.
No, I'm calling
Come deal
myself
with me.
a
I'll
loser.
punch you in the face.
I'm the only one, so you're gonna hit
Okay.
me. Please, not like Cutter. Don't do me
Watch
like
out.
Cutter.
He can tell you.
Fucking
I
punch
don't
me
even
in the
know if he
face.
felt it. I don't know how strong it was.
Yeah, listen, I mean, next time you think I'm not a loser, just remember I'm the guy who was complaining last week as I had to wake up at 1 p.m. for my 1 day of work. I'm a loser, guys. It's okay. It's all right. I'm a loser. I accept it. I just happen to be, I'm very grateful. I was very lucky in this life,
Amen. Me too.
And that's a pod, guys.
Wow.
We'll see you next week.